Okay, another shop update. I'm sitting out here on the railroad tracks because it's a great day. It's like 70 degrees, little breeze. It's getting to be fall, but a nice, warm, kind of fall day. I'm going to touch on a bunch of subjects here in this update, but I'll bring you back. Okay, part of a little shop update. It's morning. Sun isn't even up yet. It's just that twilight time in the morning and really cool. Starting to get towards fall here and it's kind of chilly. But it's a good type of chilly. That chilly that feels good, because you know that it's going to warm up. It'll probably warm up to about 70, 72 degrees today. If I was to guess, I don't know what the temperature is. If I was to guess, I would say it's probably high 40s. But it's a clear day. It's going to be a clear day. That's not why I brought you out here to talk about the damn weather or the sunrise. My trailer, as you all know, my trailer. One of the things that you're going to see in the haul truck update is where I borrowed that mag drill again and drilled the frame to mount that air suspension. But when I did it, I have been wanting to add lights, two more lights to my trailer, running lights. Now, this trailer, my older trailer, had I think it was like 1.5 inch running light on it. This trailer has these high intensity 3/4 inch LED lights on it. So what I wanted to do is add lights to it. Originally I was going to go 4 feet, but 4 feet would have put me, these rails here are every 2 feet. So 4 foot would have put me here, but it was over the box and I can't get to that area over the box to get the wiring in. So I kind of switched it. Besides that, it happens on both sides because I have a box exactly like that on the other side too. It happens on both sides, and I would have that same issue if I went with 4 feet of trying to get wiring and the connection over the top of the box. Now it could be done. Could pull that box off and wire it above the box and then put the box back on, but I don't really want to do that. Besides that, putting them every 4 feet would get kind of expensive for on the trailer. So what I did is switch to 6 feet. But what I was going to tell you is when I borrowed that mag drill, I came out here and drilled the holes for it. Now, the only bit that I had for the mag drill, and the mag drill doesn't use drill bits, it uses annular cutters. The only bit I had for it was 11/16. So it takes a 3/4 inch hole, so I'm probably going to have to get a drill bit and drill it out. So what I did is I drilled them every 6 feet. Now I didn't drill this one because this one would have fallen right here, and there's already that light there. So I'm going to put them in and see how it looks. If I change my mind in the appearance, it kind of needs another light there. I'll just drill it manually with a regular hand drill and bits. But so I got it on both sides, and then I put one on the angled slope down. So they're going to be just amber lights. There's already a red light down there, which I can actually pick up in my rear view mirrors. And it's kind of a reference point when you're backing the trailer up. But I kind of wanted to show you that I was only able to borrow the drill for a couple of days they actually needed it to go back out on another project, so I only could have it for a couple of days. So I popped out those things on the haul truck and then backed the trailer up next to the shop and did it the same thing there. One of the things that it becomes a little annoying to me, I had a haul that I had to make yesterday. Take some steel to a plant in a town probably about 60 miles away from here. Let me see if you can see this. It's probably pretty dark. This is where I keep my straps, binder straps, and what happens is it becomes very disorganized. It isn't that deep and it isn't that wide, you know, but it's pretty deep and it really becomes disorganized. I would love to come up with some kind of an arrangement, maybe like a slotted thing where I could stack these side by side on top of each other, like some kind of a little racking system that would fit against the back, and then all of the ratchet binders could go up front. But just something that I've got to come up with. You know, it stays pretty organized when I'm here at the shop because I've got time to do it. But when you go out and you're doing a haul and you unstrap stuff, you're probably in an area like an unloading or receiving area where they're looking for you to get in and out. So you have a tendency of winding the things up, but they just kind of get thrown in there so that you can get out of the place. And if there was some kind of an organization to it, it would probably be easier to keep them organized when you're out on the road or when you're picking up from a haul. But anyways, I just want to share that to you as part of the shop update. Okay, I had talked before about the shop being a mess, and it's even a worse mess now. Let me tell you what's been going on. I've showed you in other shop updates about, or explained to you about the Expedition that my grandson got. And the issue with this Ford Triton engine and the spark plugs and everything else that was going on with it. Now, I've mentioned it a couple of times since we had that first video and related to you that he was had pulled the engine out, or we had pulled the engine out. He had gotten the heads off and gotten the spark plugs out. I haven't shown you any of it. I've kind of referenced it in a couple of videos that we were tied up on another project, but I really haven't referenced it. What he did is he had that engine all pulled apart, and I told you that he pulled the heads off and had the spark plugs out. He had the engine up in the engine hoist. It's kind of behind the engine stand that's behind the hood that's sitting up there for it. And what he had done is he had brought his wife and my great-granddaughter in here, and they had all kind of participated in getting this engine cleaned up and new gasket kits and everything to put it back together. Well, he got it back together and we got it back into the car, and what he did is hooked up everything save for the radiator, the cooling system, but he hooked up everything. Now, he didn't have the air cleaner and stuff hooked up. So he tried starting it. Low battery was bad. Hence, you'll probably see another battery down there with some jumper cables, a battery charger, and stuff like that. We couldn't get it to start right away. But anyways, what it turned out to be is I have a scan tool. Now, it's just a scan tool. It's not a diagnostic tool, a big, expensive diagnostic tool. We put it on there, and there were some codes that came up. And, I kind of told him, I says, listen, it wouldn't start, and I checked the fuel rail pressure, and it was getting fuel. And it wouldn't start, and I says, listen, pull one of the plugs off, and what we ended up doing is pulling one of the coil packs off of it, and it wasn't getting any spark. And I says, I've got to tell you, he kept thinking there was another problem with these engines or this truck, this brand of truck that had these Triton engines in, is a fuel control solenoid in the back. And he kept thinking it was that. And I says, I don't really think it's that. I think it's something else. I think it's sensors that are not allowing the plugs to fire. There's something else going on. I was thinking maybe it was sensors with the cooling system, because we didn't have the cooling system hooked up. Talked to a couple of people. They says, well, do you have the air system hooked up? Because maybe with that not having the mass airflow sensor hooked up is causing a problem. I'm going to make a long story short. We hooked up that mass airflow, just plugged it in, sat it over there, plugged it in, but it really wasn't doing anything because, it's not drawing air across it. It's not getting a signal that it's taking in air. It turned out to be, in hindsight, he had forgot to hook up some sensors. The crank sensor and the cam sensors weren't hooked up. We got them, he figured it out. He got them hooked up and the car fired up. Now, we had another issue is we couldn't get the accelerator to work after we got the car fired up. But it turned out to be one of the plugs on for the throttle control module wasn't plugged in. As soon as we found that, or he found it, and plugged it in, the throttle worked. So he still has some things that he has to do. Now we've got the engine running, and the engine runs great actually for what had been happening to this thing. It sounds great. I mean, you rev it up and it sounds great. The only issue right now is we got to kind of backtrack ourselves and figure out we're having an issue with this vacuum. We have no idea where this vacuum thing goes, and he's got to figure that out. And there's an issue with the four-wheel drive. It's coming up as a code, and I forgot what the code is, but it's showing a vacuum thing on the four-wheel drive, and we're assuming that has something to do with it. And it's just a matter of us going back and kind of backtracking ourselves to figure out where everything goes and how it went before when it came out. But we still, again, we have fired the car up, runs, and it runs good, but we still haven't taken it out and driven it. So there's some stuff that's left to be done. We've got to figure out that vacuum thing, the four-wheel drive issue with the codes, and then that one front tire keeps going low. It's got a leak in it someplace, but we got to get that thing pumped up, get the hood back on, figure out some of them things before we take it out, and he can test drive it to make sure everything else is working fine. But this has been consuming a lot of time and a lot of shop space in here. Again, and it's kind of part of the reason for the mess of everything that's around here. There's tools and parts and everything that has been laying around here, and it all has contributed to it. So once this thing gets buttoned back up again, gets out of here, we can get all the tools sorted out, cleaned up, put away. All of the excess parts that were laying around, the old gaskets and everything else off of it, thrown out, and we can get this shop cleaned up again so that I've got some working space on it. There's a bunch of things that have been going on. You know, I talk about this mess up here. There's a huge mess in back. As you know, I given him my truck. Well, he had a van, and he was able to sell it, and so he brought the van in here and just kind of took everything that was in the back of the van out, and all of this stuff has got to be sorted out. So whatever's not any good, thrown away, and the rest of it put someplace. It definitely won't fit in the back of the pickup truck, or can't fit in the back of the pickup truck. It's stuff that, you know, can't be exposed to the elements, especially as getting towards fall, and gonna probably be raining a lot and snowing pretty soon. But we can get everything picked up and put away someplace up on shelves, and space made for it, and get this place cleaned up and the mess taken care of. But anyways, here's a Ford Triton update. Is put back together, motor's back in, and it's running. One note is he keeps asking, he says, what do you think that the issue was to begin with? And it definitely was those spark plugs. So to resolve that issue, I've got to tell you that the main replacement plugs, the OEM replacement plugs for this engine, are still those two-piece plugs that everybody has issues with. What he went and got was one-piece replacement plugs so that they're not in there. Kind of the reason that video clip about the Ford Expedition ended so quickly is because somebody came in the shop. So let me just tell you this: it is running. It's out. It's plated. It's registered, and it's insured, and it's out being driven every day. But if anybody wants to know anything more about that Expedition, just leave a comment. I mean, if it's too big of an answer for the comment, maybe I can have me or my grandson make some a video on it. Let me just say this: you can find a lot of stuff on Ford Expeditions and their issues on the internet, but the problem is you can't believe everything that's on the internet. There was people saying that those probes with ceramic glue would take out those spark plugs. There's absolutely no way the spark plugs out of the heads that we had would ever have come out with probes and ceramic glue. It took us beating them out to get the things out of there. So again, sorry for abruptly ending like that, but somebody came in. But if anybody else wants to know anything else about it, leave a comment, and we'll get back to you one way or the other. Okay, so I'm back out here at the trailer a couple hours later, I'm not really sure if you can see it, but what I had laying around the shop is this. It's like a 3-opening basket. It's just a wire frame type of basket. It kind of looks like an IKEA type of thing, something that you would buy in IKEA. Not even sure where I got it. I think somebody brought it into my shop one time and wanted me to do something to it, but then just left it. What I did is took the bigger strap binders and put them down in there. Now there is room for more. As you can see, that some of the ratcheting binder straps are on top of it. The rest of them I've got down here in the front. And then the 2-inch straps I put over here. So it's organized now. I'm not going to say it's going to stay organized that way, but at least it's organized somewhat now. Bring it back. Okay, to continue on the discussion that I had in a previous shop update, here is the switch for that fuel tank. I still haven't put these in here yet. One of the reasons is lack of time, but the main reason is I haven't found the lights yet. So I wanted to get the lights, have the lights first before I ran the wiring out to them. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. It's a definite go. It's just a matter of me finding the correct lights to suit me that's going to look good on the truck and perform well. The other thing that I had talked about in previous shop update was gauges that I might be getting, putting a pillar gauge cluster in there. I talked about the fact that I might want to use the Banks iDash, which is a digital gauge, but it has a lot more latitude as far as gauges go. What I can monitor, what I can't monitor over a conventional gauge. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to go that way. The only reason that I haven't done anything about that yet is the Banks iDash plugs into the OB2 port. And as you know from my previous updates and discussion on this truck, I have the truck deleted, and the delete tuning kit also plugs into the OB2 port. So in order to get the Banks iDash, what I really need to get is one of those OB2 splitters where you can plug this thing in and you get 2 outlets that you can plug different things into on the truck. And I don't know anything about them. I don't know whether they're good, not good. There's a certain brand that I should be looking for, or certain brands that I should stay away from. Basically, I probably want to stay away from anything made in China, but who knows if I can find anything that's not made in China. So if anybody knows anything about those OB2 splitters, just leave a comment down below. Let me know about them. But I just kind of wanted to give you an update on this. So it is a go for the iDash, Banks iDash, and it's a go for those for those switches that go down there. Just a matter of me getting time to do it and getting the proper stuff to do it with. Okay, one last thing before I let you go, and this thing is running a little too long. I have talked about in other shop updates and in at the beginning of this shop update, or one of the segments of this shop update, cleaning up the shop. Well, the expedition is gone. My grandson says that he was going to clean up and put away all of the tools and maybe start cleaning the shop up. Well, I had to make a small haul yesterday, and I came back and he cleaned out this corner, or let's call it a quarter. It's not quite a quarter. this part of the shop anyways, but it looks great. He got all of the engine stuff, and there was an old welder over there, and it's all put over there against the wall, and it's freed up a lot of space. So there's a bunch of stuff. Some of that, the automatic transmission in the foreground goes to that 6-liter Chevy engine that is worth some money, actually. Well, let's put it this way. It's sought after by builders of Chevy engines. Transmissions and stuff in the background, that's actually a differential splitter for the PTO, so that you could disengage the drive shaft and have the PTO on the transmission. It's a 5-speed. I think it's a 5-speed transmission out of the old fire truck or the haul truck. And again, that's that 6L block. But anyways, a lot cleaner. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. I will going to continue on for cleaning up the shop from here too, and he might be able to come in and give me a hand too. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe.